Every second visitor to your website is a robot, and most probably every third one is a scraper. The demand for web data is growing like crazy, even without AI. Web scraping industry is going to be worth of 3.5 billion in 10 years. That's what experts say. And in today's episode, we are going to explore the trends of 2025, deep dive into real-time web data collection use cases, and try to find the answer to the big question. Is web scraping coming to an end, or is it evolving to the next level? My name is Anna Sharma from NetNut, a proxy network that makes your web data collection limitless. And I'm thrilled to welcome our special guest today, Oleg Boyko, a true web scraping evangelist and the CEO of GroupBWT.
Thank you for having me today. That's actually a very interesting topic, and I'll be more than happy to discuss it based on our experience in this industry.
I'm sure as a Chief Operating Officer of GroupBWT, you have a lot to say, but first tell us a little bit about your company.
Sure. So GroupBWT is a software development company, and the core of our business is web data, which includes data scraping, data engineering, and development of custom data aggregation platforms. We are proudly getting to the top 5 web scraping companies in the world. We are doing this for more than 15 years already, working with the clients from Fortune 500 list, helping them grow their revenue and drive proper business decisions. So that's what we're doing in a few words.
Wow, 15 years. You must have seen a lot of changes in the web industry. And talking about that, Oleg, what do you think AI in web scraping? Is it going to play a critical role, or is it going to replace humans?
That's the great question. AI already plays a great role in web scraping industry. We are using in our work, we're using AI for various operations such as data analysis, data enrichment, data structuring. However, I don't see how AI can replace the human at this stage. In web scraping field, it's very important to properly work on data collection strategy, tactics, how to get the data, how to find it, how to bypass the protection, how to make sure that you react to any changes on the website as fast as possible. Especially that's relevant for those businesses that require real-time data to make decisions on the go, basically. This is where the team of human engineers this is why AI cannot replace the humans, at least as of now. Who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows what's going to happen by 2034. Right. And looking at the trends of data consumption, I can definitely say that it's growing crazy. What do you think of data trends right now? What is the biggest demand?
For sure, I agree. The data consumption is growing, and the main trend right now is on the real-time data, especially with the AI technologies available for people right now. When you can analyze the data and make decisions on the go, nobody wants really to rely on the outdated data from the previous quarter or even from the previous day. So this is very relevant for e-commerce sector, for fast-moving consumer goods companies to understand what the competitors do and what they sell at what volumes. It's super relevant for micro-mobility companies to understand where their competitors deploy their vehicles, what are the crowded areas, and so on and so forth. But also, real-time data is required not only for businesses to make more money, but also to make sure they don't lose money where they can avoid that. And that's an interesting case that I will explain in a minute.
So the faster, the better.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to wait for a second for their burger to arrive, and the business has to adapt.
Exactly. The faster, the better, and the quality is super important.
Let's dive in. I'm curious to hear.
Sure. So brand bidding is a practice when the businesses purchase advertisement in search engines using the keywords and locations of their competitors. And based on the statistics, the brands may lose from 10 to 30% of traffic because of brand bidding. So basically, your competitors using your keywords, your locations to drive your traffic to their sources. That's what brand bidding is.
Well, it sounds like a real disaster for the brand who invest a lot of budget into building their own authentic brand. And then just when they become most popular, the competitors jump on their back and just capitalize on that. How do you fight that practice?
So there are multiple ways to do so. First one is the legal way of doing so. You need to register the trademark. You need to pursue the search engines so that they do not allow you certain keywords in certain locations. But that's all time consuming, super expensive. I'm not sure if somebody does it at this time, to be honest. The other way is technological. So basically, you just need to outbid the competitor who tries to take your traffic. But you need to do it smart, because if you just enable your own paid ads in Google, let's say, and we'll run them 24/7, that's going to cost a lot. I mean, if you have unlimited budget, then it's okay. But otherwise, you should be very smart about doing so. And there are multiple technological approaches to solving this case as well. So there are the ready-made services or SERP data providers that can give you the reports of the search engine results, which could potentially trigger you to enable or disable paid ad on your site manually. And this works good to a certain extent. I mean, if you have lots of different locations, lots of ads, hundreds of them, that becomes impossible for you to handle this manually. Just doesn't make sense. So in this case, it makes sense to create an automated system that would work based on the signals from search engine results and automatically enable or disable the ads in the needed locations if the system notices that your competitor tries to take your traffic with this brand bidding approach. And that's exactly what we have done in this specific case. So before I explain this case, I'll give a few facts about Google search algorithms, how they work. First of all, nobody knows 100% what's under the hood exactly, but we know the factors that affect the search, the ad appearance, starting with the ad size, ad quality, the price that you pay for displaying the ad. But the most important parameter is the location. We want to make sure that we are trying to emulate the conditions of the real user search as much as possible. So we need to make sure that we do have IP addresses in the specific locations where the company wants to show their ads so that we can emulate that behavior. So in order to solve this, we have been using the big residential IP address pool provided by NetNut to make sure that we are running the searches in each of those locations. Then we've developed the system that balances those IP addresses, because we want to make sure as well that we have more IP addresses than we need, because Google sometimes blocks IP addresses, adds them to the blacklist, and so on and so forth. So we need to constantly rotate IP addresses to make sure that the search is running on the hourly basis with no delays or no gaps in the data. And the architecture, so this architecture ensures the IP address balancing, it ensures the no deviations or anomalies in data scraping process are happening, ensures the data quality, and ensures the triggering system that would then be integrated with the systems on the client's side to trigger them to automatically enable or disable the Google ad once this is required. So that was the case around that. And this really helped the client to start spending on Google ads wisely and stop giving away the traffic that they deserve.
To the competitors, yeah. And I bet it was much cost-effective than just buying data from SERP providers, because actually you can only target the locations that you are interested in, where you're actually competing, and act only when there is a real-time alert on your competitors trying to overbid you.
Exactly. And one more thing that I want to mention about the SERP providers is that we've been looking into that solution as well when we were trying to solve the challenge for the client. And we've conducted a quick test of 4 well-known SERP data providers. And we've also done some internal testing using different VPN services. The results of the investigation was this. So 4 SERP providers we're running exactly the same search in exactly the same location, and we get different results. So in one case, it says you don't need to enable everything is okay, you're on the first position. Second one, within the same conditions, says, no, you're not the first. So it's basically like, if the client relies on the solution like that, it's going to be guessing whether should I enable this right now or not. So what's the plan? So that's why after doing this investigation, we've decided that the best solution here is to develop your own system, ensuring that you do have lots of IP addresses in different.
So don't trust anybody but yourself, basically.
Only trust what you see.
Yeah, especially when it comes to the business as competitive as a travel vertical, which is known for their biggest consumers of a real-time data, because it's sometimes the decision is a matter of few seconds or minutes, while the customer chooses where to go and from where to buy the tickets or the hotel. So it seems like you totally on top of the game when it comes to the scraping, but the idyllic picture can be spoiled with some new advanced anti-bot system when it comes to scraping e-commerce websites or, more challenging targets. It's like a cat and mouse game. How do you stay ahead?
It's a constant game of strategy. Tools like browser fingerprinting and behavioral analysis are tough opponents, but we overcome that using the techniques to mimic real user behavior as much as possible. It's always a blend of technology and creativity, I would say.
What about the JavaScript-heavy websites? They keep changing their structure. They're very dynamic. It feels like they're, the biggest problem that drives web scraping crazy.
Exactly. Sometimes it even feels like they're trolling the scrapers and those who are trying to develop solutions like that. But our approach is to render the pages in an isolated environment, which lets us capture the data without breaking a sweat.
How about advanced rate limiting and device-based fingerprinting? That more and more websites introduced parameters like, temperature of the processor or like battery charge percentage. How do you deal with this?
That's a great question. So for rate limiting, we use distributed scraping, spreading requests across a global proxy network. For device-based fingerprinting, we replicate hardware profiles to blend in seamlessly. It's like being a spy in a high-tech world.
Well, if a James Bond were a scraper, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great one.
Let's say.
Exactly.
And the NetNut is your supercar that can deliver you to any geographic location that you need.
Yeah, NetNut was very useful for many projects we've tried, so that's a great comparison.
So I see you dodge every bullet, but so what is the real challenge for the web scraping then?
If I were to pick one, I would say that mobile apps scraping is probably one of the most challenging directions nowadays for web scraping.
I've never heard about mobile web scraping. Can you give some example?
Sure. So first of all, who and why needs to get data from mobile applications? That's very important for multiple business industries, but I could name micromobility, I could name food delivery or taxi apps. The mobile applications of your competitors, that's the great field for getting insights, for understanding the client and the customer behavior, to understand what are those underserved regions that you could get into. So that's why the need for mobile scraping is such booming and such demand right now. Of course, it's a great thing when the mobile applications offer API. That's the fastest and the most reliable way to get the structured data. But on our experience, most of them don't offer something like that. And then the only way to get the data is to actually scrape the mobile application. And this is where things can become challenging because mobile applications use advanced anti-bot protection systems, starting with SSL pinning, with encryption of the data that is sent between the server and the app itself. Then restrictions related to geolocation when certain data in certain region can be accessed only from this specific region. And there are certain restrictions to the behavior of the application user that also needs to be considered to be able to get the data effectively. But once you get through all those layers of protection, you just get the raw real-time data that can become a great boost for your business and for understanding what your competitors do.
So you have to, jump through many hoops before you get to the price.
Exactly, but of course.
It's definitely worth it.
It's definitely worth it, for sure. And there is the short infographics regarding the industries and how they benefit from getting the real-time data from mobile applications of their competitors. For example, e-scooters, they can understand rental demand from the customers. Like, what are the regions underserved? What regions are overserved? How many vehicles do their competitors deploy? What is the trip count? And things, of course, prices and things of that nature. Food delivery can track the satisfaction of the customers and make certain decisions based on that. Can track the activities of the competitors as well. Taxis, nobody likes it when you order taxi and then have to wait for 20 minutes, right? So the taxi providers trying to figure out what are those cases and deploy their services in the underserved markets or regions.
So at the end of the day, the end customer is the one who is winning from this. I don't have to wait for the taxi for 20 minutes. My food comes where I live, and a scooter is waiting me next to my office. Win-win.
Absolutely.
Wow, this is really interesting and exciting. And look into the future. What gets you excited about the future of web scraping?
I always say that making informed decisions requires reliable data. And we're on the mission to help people better understand this world and increase the number of right decisions based on the right data. That's what excites me the most about what we are doing and about the future of this specific industry, helping people make more right decisions and understand the world better.
And NetNut is here to provide you with the fastest and most reliable proxy network to get any data that you can dream of. Speaking of which, everyone who listened us and stayed with us until this moment and wants to try to bring their web scraping dreams true can scan this QR code and get into conversation with Oleg and his team. We'll be back to you within 12 hours. Thank you guys for staying up with us, and I hope you enjoyed this quick chat about the future of web scraping. Web scraping is there to stay and grow and to evolve.
Exactly. And thank you, Anna, for bringing up such an important topic. It was a pleasure to participate in this discussion, and looking forward for the next episodes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.